and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Simon Miller, and today I'm joined by Mr. Tomari,
hello,
Mr. Jim Trinker, and Mr. Brett Phibbs.
Hello.
How's everyone doing today? Brett, you got a cacti on your shirt.
I have, yeah.
Is that what it is?
How do you feel about that?
It was a
Is cacti the singular or the
Cacti,
plural?
not a shit tie, just actual cactuses on his shirt.
Yeah. He's got literally cactuses on there.
Is cacti singular or plural?
Who knows? I've said it now. No going back.
Cacti.
Yeah, you got.
Where did you get this shirt from?
Primark?
River Island, I think.
River Island. And what
Yeah.
was it about the cactuses that thought, you know what, I want to wear this shirt?
I just like to be honest, it wasn't the cacti. It wasn't the cacti. It was the it was the blue. Of
You like the
shirt.
blue?
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. I don't know why I brought this up. It's because I looked over at you and that was the first thing I noticed. So
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah, it was all right. I bought it before I went away.
Where did you go?
For work. Well, I went away to LA for a work thing, and I needed it.
So I'm laughing at Jim. He's struggling with
He's
the
really
microphone so
struggling.
bad. It's
My
like
pop shield is not playing ball today at all.
the corner.
He's having some Morrissey. The
He's
shit.
just fighting
the
with
mic.
it in the corner.
Yeah. I'm going to have to do a bit of a Liam Gallagher, I think.
That's all right. Was everyone well? Everyone happy? Everyone feeling pumped to talk about video games next hour or so?
Yeah, I had a good bank holiday weekend.
I've only played one video game.
Really?
Yeah.
This is The Witcher, right?
Yeah.
And you're loving it, right? Well, it got announced this morning. It's the biggest selling game in the UK this year.
It fucking
It
deserves
beat
it as well.
Battlefield Hardline by
Is that week
53% sales.
Biggest selling week one
Week
game.
one game, yeah. But that's pretty good. So, it smashed. It was always going to smash what The Witcher 2 and the first one did because on more consoles. But
Jim's fist pumping, waving his hands in the air like he just don't
It
care.
is the best game this gen so far.
see, that is a kind of a big statement, but then not that much good has come out this gen. Not there's some good stuff out, but nothing groundbreaking.
Bloodborne.
Best RPG since Mass Effect 2.
Fucking hell.
I
Bar
need to
none.
think what came out. I'd have to have a list. I mean, maybe.
That's why I said it, because nobody can remember any RPGs after Mass Effect 2.
I think it's a good shout. I think it's a very, very good game.
Oh, it's
And
amazing.
It's obviously appealing to people
Especially
as well.
like the difference. I know that the first two games have their fans, but basically,
Oh, it's nothing like them. I was wrong.
Witcher 1 and 2, they're shite. They are. I'm glad Burns isn't here.
Yeah, you
actually.
just said one, yeah.
but they're shite, and they. I think they're shite because they're sort of like they remind you of a game that, like The Witcher 3, like it could be. They sort of evoke that, but they aren't that. And they aren't as good as that.
flashes of what that could have been. Yeah.
So
I
then
kinda like
Witcher
that,
3
though.
actually comes in and does like a proper.
But maybe this is the game they always wanted it to be. So it took them 2 games to kind of find their niche, find out what works, what doesn't work. And then they're lucky the fact that they did. They've always been a kind of a niche unto themselves, CD Projekt Red, kind of a very independent company in the truest sense of the word. If they had been backed by a big publisher for the first 2, they probably would have been killed off by now. But they managed to get to the third game, got a big budget, got next gen or new gen, or whatever you want to call it, and now there you go. Bada bing, bada boom, the game they always wanted.
They've done pretty well. But yeah, if you look at the first 2 Witcher games, it's sort of like, not quite tests, but this is a company, a creative team finding itself, figuring out what it's good at.
Yeah. And
The Witcher 2 is like an audition for Witcher 3.
Well, that's it. And a lot of people, I'm sure, will go, oh, no, they were very good games. And I'm sure they were in their own right. But you can't argue that it's not, this one is better. This one is destroying them in terms of, and you can argue it's got a bigger marketing budget behind. But I still imagine if more people had gone to Witcher 2, they'd been like, I can't play this. It's much more accessible than Witcher 3.
What I like with the evolution of that series is, like Burns made a really good point with Hotline Miami 2, was that when you saw that sequel, the problem that game had was they threw simply everything at the sequel.
This seems to be simplified, the Witcher
Exactly.
3.
Is that when you get a sequel, the problem that a lot of them have is they simply think, right, well, now we've got all the money, we're going to throw everything that we possibly wanted to do in the first one into it, rather than craft and refine and hone what they wanted to do in the first and make that better, what was there, which is what they've done in The Witcher 3. Everything that was in 2 and the first one, I nearly said 1 then, but I didn't. But
just say it, The Witcher 1.
But that is simply what they've done. They've made it bigger. They haven't put more in. They've made what they had in the first 2 bigger and then crafted and refined what they had there. And it's a lot better. The combat's still iffy. I still don't enjoy the combat. But in terms of the dialogue stuff, the quest setup and the way that you go through that and the pacing of it, it's wonderful in terms of the way you go around the whole world. And in fact, now you're not, like we spoke about in the last podcast, Jim, about you're not stuck in a single environment and you don't get bored in any one space. And the quests and the constant feeding when you go onto like the boards and you just create, all right, I'll take all the quests they've got there, you do them in whatever order you want. And you can fail quests. It's not like you can just say, I'll come back to that when I want to. As soon as you start one, you have the potential to fail it. People can die while you're not there. If you need to rescue someone, you need to kill.
It's not what they're waiting for you. The world is organic.
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, kill me! I said organic. You know what I mean?
No, but it's true though. Is because there was the first time I played it, there was a mission where I had to go and get a potion together to rescue a woman who was dying from, I think she got attacked by something like that, and I couldn't find the ingredients to save her, and I went back and dead. You know, it's that simple case of
Dead.
You know, I failed, so it's
Tom,
really good.
as a man who hasn't played any of The Witcher 3, does all this chat and hype and the sales figures think maybe you want to dip your toe into it at all?
No.
No.
The problem
There
is,
you go. Shut down. Shut down.
the thing that's got me is the combat's not very good, apparently, says Brett.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Why would I
okay.
want to play a game that has a lot of combat in it if the combat's not very good?
I don't actually think the combat is that bad, but it's good. I mean, I think there's certain ways you can play it though. Like there's a lot of sort of strategies that you can develop. Like when I started playing the game, I was using the Igni sign a lot and sort of setting people on fire and then sort of running in while they were staggered and trying to attack them. And now, like hours and hours in, I've got into the
How many
sort of-
hours, Jim? How many hours so far?
Probably at least 30. I've not
30.
actually checked.
Well, to give you an example of another reason why I'm not playing this game, it took me 3 months to finish Wolfenstein.
This 12-hour game max. That's true. It's a big ask. It's certainly an investment. You got to have the time.
You need to learn to ignore your kids, Tom. That's the-
They should put that in the Witcher 3 box.
Healthy
Ignore
dose of
your
neglect.
kids, play the Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played it for a few hours, but I definitely do want to play it more. But I would, I think that my biggest problem is where the hell am I going to get
The
25
time.
plus hours to actually put into it? But then
25
again-
plus, try quadrupling that and you'll be there.
all right, jeez, Brett, I'm just
Massive.
making a point. Oh my gosh,
Oh my
go back
God.
to your cacti.
Shut your face.
Oh no, my pop shit fell down. But I do want to play it, and I do think it's nice that this kind of game still exists. Because obviously, for the last few months or for years, it's all about persistent online world multiplayer.
Yeah,
Well, now
yeah.
you've just got a nice single player RPG you can lose yourself in for
Yeah,
a few
but a
hours
lot
at
of
a
people
time.
talk about RPGs as if the big single player RPG is somehow on the way out. It's
definitely
like,
not.
It's not because
Between this and Skyrim, like
single player RPGs keep coming out, smashing records and getting all the critical acclaim,
Yeah.
and being beloved by everyone.
Yeah.
And MMOs keep getting out and fucking dying on their arses.
I tell you what, as well, is that the anytime you get a new console generation, that's the one game people look for. I know we're well into it now, but it
Yeah.
still stands. That's why Oblivion was all like fucking hell, because they
Yeah,
do this
yeah.
great thing of understanding scope and making things feel bigger than they actually are and looking quite nice. So people go, this works perfectly for the experience I'm looking for.
You can
Jim,
also-
Jim, you said Dragon Age Inquisition last year, your favourite game? Yeah? How does this compare?
Good point, yeah.
But it's better.
It's better.
Can we all agree that Inquisition was a massive misstep by
no.
BioWare?
Because two people that worked here at the time said it was their game of the year.
Yeah, but I'm now, in retrospect, it's a different thing.
I really, really like Dragon Age Inquisition. I've not finished it. I really, really like it. But I think it's what you were talking about. You are, like, when a new gen comes out, you are chasing that big game to get
and Dragon
into.
Age didn't do it.
'Cause
I don't think so anyway.
At first, you get like lots of sort of short action games and stuff like The Order or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't a launch game, but you get stuff that looks good, but is basically just stuff that you play until you're waiting for the big stuff you can get your teeth into. Oblivion. If you play Oblivion now, it is piss. Like, it's actually a really terrible Bethesda game. I actually think it's a decent game overall. It's certainly a lot better than a lot of RPGs out there. But in terms of an Elder Scrolls game, especially compared to the one before it and after it, it's really not very good at all. And all the characters in it look like potato people. But yeah, I mean, in terms of last year, Dragon Age Inquisition was the closest thing to come out to being that big, massive, brand new RPG that you can really get stuck into. That's going to take you a long time. That can be a world that you sort of, that you inhabit, and that might go some way to sort of defining your experience with that new console or that new generation or whatever. But The Witcher 3 has now come along and really showed it up for kind of the disappointment it really was.
I think so.
I was clamoring for a new Dragon Age game, clamoring for that big, open, mesmerizing experience. And Dragon Age filled that niche when it came out a bit, But
So are you saying, Jim, that you and a former employee were both
I was
wrong?
basically wrong.
Both of you
I
were
can't.
wrong.
Can't speak for the former employee.
Just want to throw in there that I disagree with you intensely about Oblivion. Just want to let you know that Oblivion is one. I can't. I put 301 hours into it. I can never say.
So
it's a
did
bad
I.
game.
Like, I'm
I think
not
it's
saying,
wonderful.
I don't think it's like, and you know, it still has that. When people still talk about the Oblivion moment, you know, when you
walk
get out of
yeah.
a tutorial and you walk out of the sewers, and people always want that moment. Fallout 3 aped that moment almost exactly. You know, you get out of the vault and you see the landscape or whatever. Oblivion set the standards for this type of game,
Yeah, that's
especially
true.
this type of game in terms of how it can define a sort of generation going forward. And there was a lot to love about Oblivion. There was a lot of really good stuff in Oblivion, but it was made. I think it was made, not to sound sort of hipsterish, but it was maybe made a bit too accessible, or maybe a bit too. I hate the word done. I hate the term dumbed down because it's always.
No, I think they did try and make it more accessible. But then again, I bet you a lot of people are saying that about The Witcher 3. I bet you hardcore Witcher 2 fans are a bit like, oh, The Witcher 3 drama.
Yeah, but The Witcher 2 is terrible.
Yeah, but this is the point.
They don't know what they're on about. But I've got really mixed feelings about Oblivion. I absolutely loved
That's
it at
right.
the time.
I
And
just
when I
have
go
to
back to it, I find it.
I've never been back to it, so maybe that's the thing. But I loved it at the time. Moving away from The Witcher, just because we talked about it a lot the last few weeks, I do want to talk about what a game that's now a sequel and the beginning of a new series at the same time, which is Need for Speed.
Oh, yeah.
Which got announced with a 30-second trailer last week that everyone got well excited about.
Relaunch, new IP.
They're
to reboot?
They're reboot racing.
Reboot cars.
Racing. Yeah, it's going to reboot cars. They're going to have 5 wheels. It's going to be incredible. But I mean, it looks like it's going to be underground-esque, all the neon lighting and stuff like that. But it's not going to have a subtitle.
Why aren't
It's
they
just
calling
going
it
to be Need for
underground, though?
Speed.
Imagine how mad
Because they're
people go if they
rebooting
knew.
it, and when you reboot something, you've got to tell the origin story. You know that. You've got to go back.
This car came from the
Henry
CD.
Ford's going to be in it. Henry Ford's going to build the car
Yeah.
and the development of the production
Are they
line.
going to go back to the Ford Model T and that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Henry Ford putting some neon on the bottom of it.
The thing is, that I mean, the idea of a whole reboot is stupid, but starting again, I got no problem with.
Yeah.
Need for Speed has become very fractured as a series. It's got like about 8 different sort of shoot-offs made by different companies. This is made by Ghost again, isn't
And
it?
half of them are like, you know, Burnout clones that aren't as good as Burnout.
Exactly. So if they can actually get Need for Speed back to what it was, which is a really accessible, fun arcade racer that doesn't take itself too seriously, the trailer already makes me think that it will. I'm well up for them doing this because you don't have that many good. The video game world anyway, has swung massively towards the simulated thing. You know, Gran Turismo, Forza, Project Cars. Well, what was the last arcade racer to come out? They're probably one I've forgotten about.
Forza
now.
Horizon 2.
Yeah, but again, that's it's an Xbox One exclusive
really good,
game.
Miller.
I know it's really good, but it's not the whole. You know, back in the day, the arcade racer would come out on everything. That was the whole point. That was your
Like Ridge Racers.
like Ridge
and all
Racer. That was
yeah.
you kind of lack those games now. No
I
Need
do
for
wish
Speed.
they'd bring the Ridge Racer back.
Well, they
That'd
made
be really
Yeah.
good. E3 announcement, Ridge Racer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe.
Are you saying we should reboot the video game racing genre?
Yeah, I think
Just
I do.
launch that
I
as a
think
new
we,
IP.
I think we do in a way because I used to really like it back in the day. You had a real racing games were spread out a lot wider.
Yeah,
There's
they
more
were.
choice, whereas now you kind of don't get that. But I think
That sense of, you know, when you went to the arcade with your mates, the first thing you did was jump on an arcade, like Outrun.
Exactly, and I'd like all that stuff back.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is
I
true.
think Need for Speed is the game to do because there are some good. I mean, there's some terrible ones like The Run. I thought it'd be really good to put a story in there. Who would do that in a series they've been done in for a while? But I think I think that you know, if it does well and it remembers why it was so good back in the day, then I'm all for it. Trying to re-spark things.
The best part about the day that got announced was there was that big debate in the morning about The Witcher's downgrade thing, about how it looked when it first got debuted and then how it looked on launch. And there was
Surprise, not as good.
and
Who would have
then
thought it?
literally a few hours later, that trailer came out with Need for Speed, and there's no way it's going to look like that at launch. Everyone's going, "Oh, it looks great. Oh, it looks lovely."
Yeah.
There are some differences though. Like The Witcher was shown like over 2 years ago. This is out in like 4 months or something, isn't it? And it will look close to that. I mean, the camera was like, all shaking all over the place. Like it is a next gen only game. It is a racing game set at night, probably lots of rain.
And racing games always look good.
It will look good. Like whether
Oh, yeah,
it's
no-
exactly like that, but it will look close to that.
Witcher
I
3
reckon.
does look great as well, though.
The
That's
problem with
thing.
all those trailers, though, is that, you know, video games want to ape movies. I mean, that's the thing. That's why you have all those cuts. If someone actually dare go, right, I'm going to show you 2 minutes of what you do actually in game from the viewpoint you'll have as the player in the chair, and we'll go, this looks really boring. I don't want to play this. Where's all? And it's like, well, You can't have both worlds. If you're going to shoot from silly camera angles and make it like a movie trailer, it's not going to look how...
Exactly.
Because no one plays a game like that.
Yeah.
It's like in Grand Theft Auto when you hold, was it B or whatever, and you get the helicopter.
You try and drive like that.
Try and drive, you can't do it. You crash all over the place.
You try your best to hold it for as long as you can.
Yeah, but I mean, I personally want a good arcade... Forza Horizon was good, but I mean another one.
Yeah.
Not just that type of racing.
It just needs to be a Fast and Furious game. That's all this needs to be, and it will be all right.
Well, given the success of that franchise now, I imagine it will be.
Yeah.
But the whole reboot thing is a bit weird.
It's like I don't get the anger over it. I mean, they're just a term. They've used the word reboot, and everyone's got suddenly because it's EA and it's Need for Speed. They've gone mental about it.
Yeah, because
it's just,
Twitter needs something to be mad at.
They've just said reboot. It doesn't have to be like a big deal. Just because
I hear FIFA's getting a reboot this year as well.
It's just marketing.
It's just hot piss, Tom.
Yeah.
As Jim Trinker would say, it's nothing but hot piss. But no, I'm up for it. I want it. I think it'll be good. I think this probably means the end of that Burnout game we saw last year. Not Burnout game, the Criterion game.
Is that the one where they jumped out of the plane into
completely
the car, onto the speedboat?
Different teams, Miller.
No, but your EA E3 press conference, I don't think they're going to try and push
I don't know.
a racing game that's not out this year for one that is. I think that'll be thrown under the rug quite quickly.
Maybe.
Not swept under, thrown under.
Thrown under, lift the rug up, throw it under.
And then all of a few hours ago, Capcom announced the Resident Evil 0 remake.
Yeah.
Now, the first question is, has anyone in this room actually played the original Resident Evil 0?
Yeah.
Right, I never played it, you see.
Oh, really?
So is this, should I be excited they're remaking this or not?
No.
I really like Zero.
A lot of
don't.
the internet world is telling me they should have gone with Resident Evil 2.
Well, they're never going to do Resident Evil 2. Well, they might do, but they're not going to do it quickly because it doesn't already have... This is basically a remake already that wasn't a remake, isn't it? Because they made it the same way they made Resident Evil 0,
the GameCube remake.
Yeah.
So it's got like the good backgrounds and stuff. They can relatively easily get that across to like a new looking version on next gen. Resident Evil 2's got PlayStation 1 quality backgrounds.
Yeah, so to rebuild it entirely.
It would be a completely different project. I don't know. Zero is not bad, but it's nowhere near as good as lots of other Resident Evil games.
Yeah. But like Tom says, the problem is as well is one of the key things I think that grabbed a lot of Resident Evil fans is that they took the original team from those games and brought them across to remake it. And I mean, like the guys who made it, who was it who made it? It was Mikami and
well, the people that made 2 are not going to make. They're not going to. They're doing other stuff. They're
exactly.
Not going back to Capcom. But Zero is a fine game, but it's not. I'm not excited about this game coming out again because
I think
it was a co-op game without co-op. That was the thing.
I think the real disappointment is that if they're doing this coming this year, right?
No, early 2016.
I mean, within this near future, is that so? Resident Evil 7 is not on the cards at all because why would it?
It could be.
They're not going to announce it till next year though, because again, you're gonna ruin the marketing and the buzz for this if you don't have a brand new version.
This year we had Resident Evil Revelations 2 and Resident Evil Remake, and they've just announced another remake type game. So I don't think it's impossible that they'll show off.
I think if they teased it for a full reveal next year, because the thing is, like Tom said, we had 2 games this year, but they were both cut price Resident Evil games, right? Because Revelations was like, what, 20 quid, and then the remake was
unless
like 15.
there's multiplayer in it, get on pre-order Resident Evil 0, get on the beta for Resident Evil 7. I'm going to call that right now.
Maybe.
I'm going to call that right now.
Is
Resident Evil 7 multiplayer beta if you buy Resident Evil 0.
Is that your E3 prediction?
Yeah, that's one of my E3 predictions. There you go. I've just changed my 180 entirely there.
What would the multiplayer be?
Well, I didn't tell you, but that's my gut
I
feeling.
didn't tell you.
No, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, right.
But that's my gut feeling now.
Yeah.
And I also think, but the thing is, because Silent Hills is now gone, if Capcom should seize, there was excitement about that. People want survival horror. They should look at that and go, well, we've got a name anyway that people gravitate towards. All we got to do is reboot it, quote unquote.
With Kojima, a Hideo Kojima game, Resident Evil 7.
I don't know if I do that.
Can you imagine?
But
Can you imagine?
But yeah, Resident Evil 0 is coming. Jim, do you care about it? You don't look very excited.
I don't know anything about it. That's my problem.
What do you think of Resident Evil in general? Do you care?
I don't want to say I don't care because that sounds really callous.
You don't care. You don't care.
It's just something I'm not into yet.
I don't think.
So. Is it because you never played Resident Evil 4, Jim? Have you played Resident Evil 4?
I got the Wii version of Resident Evil 4 because everyone told me it was a mistake.
Everyone said it was the best version. They were wrong.
Yeah, I gather I should have got the
best
GameCube
version. Was the GameCube version.
Yep.
And then, like any of the versions that are on the Wii.
That sounds fair enough.
Like most things in life.
I mean, if you play it with the non-remote rubbish, it's all right.
Did it support that on the Wii? Could you play it with
probably
the controller?
You probably play it with the classic, I imagine.
Not entirely sure.
But just
you
get
could
it.
play the GameCube.
I imagine Resident Evil 4 will get
released
on a PS4 and Xbox One at some point because
They've already done that remaster on the PC.
Yeah, so get that out. That'd been better than. I'd been more excited about that than this.
I don't think it holds up that well today. Resident Evil 4,
rubbish.
but you can play that. Go play the Game Review version now, and you let me know.
When the Resident Evil 4 got re-released on Xbox 360 and PS3. I was going to play it for like an hour to see what it was like. So I finished it like a couple of times already, and I finished it completely again. It's good.
Well, we agree to disagree, Tom.
But the Resident Evil is one of those things like Metal Gear for me. There are things have happened to other people. When the PlayStation, the original PlayStation was the big thing, I was still dicking about with an Amiga. So and then I went to PC.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff I've missed, and Resident Evil is unfortunately one of them. So.
It means you didn't have to
feel very sad about it.
I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just a video game. Doesn't change anything.
No, video games are shite.
Yeah, well, sure. Brett, you spent the last week playing Destiny House of Wolves, which we touched upon last week.
Yep.
But now you're kind of knee deep into it and shit, and people seem well excited. Some people told me it was the best DLC they've ever played.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Why not?
It's better than Dark Below DLC. It's the best DLC that Destiny's received.
Brilliant.
Not the best DLC
How can
ever
people
released.
say that when Shivering Isles is a thing?
I don't know. That's what people. I saw people on social media, especially, saying this. They've done it. This is brilliant. Exactly what I wanted from Destiny. Oh my gosh, I'm jumping back in. My balls are on fire. All this stuff.
My balls are on fire.
Yeah, people loved it.
I think the best thing that this DLC's done is not only what it's brought to the game in terms of new content, but how it's redressed the drip feed of rewards that Destiny brings you. Because a lot of people get put off coming into it, and we've had this discussion because you talked about getting into Destiny in terms of...
I've got it now. I am going to start playing it.
The thing is, a lot of people put off by how far they had to go to catch up, in terms of it's a constant grind on that. But the one thing that really struck me was how quickly I was rewarded for my time now since the launch. You get better stuff quicker.
Yeah.
And that was really nice.
Don't you like it just because you luckily got a good weapon really quickly?
That was a good thing.
But isn't that half the appeal of it? Is that can happen?
If I played it and didn't get it, it'd be shit for me.
Yeah.
But just because you got that drop...
No, because the new Prison of Elders thing is really good, and the new story campaign is excellent as well. The new House...
Does it
actual
actually
House of
have a
Wolves.
plot?
Yeah. You're
Really?
Well, it's like a self-contained set of missions that are a story.
Because remember when Destiny was meant to have a story, and it was just... It didn't.
It was shoot people and shoot them dead.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite a good story.
And it kept having really sort of... evocative cutscenes with characters that you were supposed to give a fuck about. You're like, who's this? What's going on?
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people did care though. I mean, I can't.
It's mental though. None of it makes any sense.
But Halo never made any sense.
That's the thing, yeah.
Halo was gibberish. I went, what a great story.
Yeah,
What I love
Yeah,
is they
well,
say,
yeah.
find it all in the Grimoire cards. I'm not reading that.
Halo actually told a somewhat coherent
No,
A
it
to B
no, it
thing.
didn't.
I don't
Two
think it
ended.
did, yeah.
Two just finished.
I don't think it did. I think it had the whole thing of humans have got to stop the Covenant with the Spartans, but otherwise it was like, I don't
Remember
know.
2, where it just stopped.
Yeah,
You was
I don't-
playing it,
I
and it
don't-
just said, that's it, that's your lot, fuck off. See you
I
at
don't think
3.
it did have a coherent story at all. I think it was all over the place.
Playing back
I think
in
it was more coherent than
But I
Destiny.
haven't played Destiny, so maybe.
playing the
Destiny-
Master Chief Collection again and playing 2 again, you realise, why did that stop there? And obviously you learn afterwards they cut a huge chunk out of it,
Yeah.
and you think, why did you take that away? Just put it as a cutscene, please, so I know what's happening.
Didn't
But
care.
honestly-
I mean, after you do so, the Destiny opening, you got Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage in the form of a small floating robot wakes you up from a fucking Russian scrapyard where you've apparently been slumbering, and you have to shoot some aliens, and then eventually you do a lot of alien shooting. You steal a ship, and you go to the last city or whatever. And Bill Nye comes down and goes, "Yeah, it's a fucking good job you're here." And that's the entire setup. And you're like, all right, what the fuck happens now?
There are
you just go places and fucking shoot things, which
Yeah.
is fair enough.
There are some
But
great
people
videos.
talk about it like it's actually got some kind of plot, and it doesn't. It feels like something that had a plot where most of it has been just ripped out.
Yeah, they ripped the arse out of the
It
plot.
seems like
yeah.
Destiny would have been better. It's say it had been imagine it crossed with, say, The Witcher 3. So it is that kind of big open world, but with all the shooting stuff.
But I don't think we can shit on
then-
Destiny that much because it has a really strong
I'm not
community
saying-
who all love
no,
it.
I mean in terms of my point of view anyway. I really like Halo games, and I kind of I played the beta or the alpha, if it was, for Destiny, and that opens with that whole bit with the robot thing, and it felt like it was going to be more of a story to it. Based on what I played there, and then the game comes out and story's kind of such a small part of the whole thing. It's not a game that I could really ever play, not at the moment anyway. And it feels like that whole game is dead to me essentially because I just can't get into it. Whereas if it was more of a story-based thing, but with like the world is like there's the appearance of being big, I think, in Destiny, but it's not actually that huge, is it?
It's like a series of corridors,
and it's
really.
lots of broken up bits.
It is quite big though. Each individual planet that you visit is surprisingly big, and I know what you mean. It is a series of like pathways and stuff. It's not a giant open expanse, but there are open areas within each world, and they are surprisingly big. But like the new expansion also you visit the same places, but there's different areas within each of those, and they do sort of feed back onto where you've already been. And
Has
what's
there
really
been
nice,
an actual new planet since it launched or not?
the new social space is the Reef, which up until now was just a cutscene
So that's
area.
just a meeting room.
Basically, but it's you get new NPCs that you interact with to get missions from.
But
and
there's no
new,
like say I don't know what planets it launched with. They haven't just added a completely new planet you can go and shoot things on.
not strictly a planet, but the new Prison of Elders thing, which is like a new horde mode. It's like a wave-based combat thing. Is a new area, which again makes less sense when you realise that you're basically going to one of the new NPCs' prison where he keeps a lot of enemies, and you're basically just going there to kill a load of prisoners, and then that's it. But
Prisoners got to die.
Yeah, exactly. You're basically the executioner, and you don't know why, but you just got. And that is really good. Prison of Elders is excellent. Really tough at some
You
points.
said the story mode stuff's good as well.
Yeah.
just
The
sort of
actual House of Wolves
Isn't it
story
like
stuff is
45
good.
minutes long or something?
It took me about 2 or 3 hours to do, but it was a lot of fun to go through. And the best thing about it was some of the missions take place in areas that you could play through single player that were only previously held off for the multiplayer strikes and raids. Like you go through the Vault of Glass, which was previously only a raid mode.
Yeah.
And there's a really tough part in the Vault of Glass raid where platforms appear and then disappear. You've got to jump across them and get through. That was really nice. And
So hold on, they've not to be too negative, but they've reused areas from the old.
No, not the same parts of them, but they've used that location and built new areas within it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you get to visit it as a single player part of a single player campaign, which was really
But
nice.
say
to
is
see.
that like
That's
say
cool.
if they did a story expansion to COD, they based it on a couple of the multiplayer maps.
I don't really.
Would that not get completely torn apart by everybody if that happened though?
No, I'd say it's more like using one of the multiplayer map locations for zombies or something like that. That's sort of the way I describe it. That's the best way to sort of appropriate that. But it is really nice because again, you're sort of taking something used in one game mode and putting it into another, and you get to explore it because a lot of people, I'd imagine, don't get to do the raid mode because you have to have 6 people to do it, and a lot of people don't make it that far in it because they are really tough, the raids. If you don't have a full squad and you're not communicating on the mic, because there's been times where I've done raids and it will take us 2 hours, maybe more, and we don't get to finish it because it's simply that tough. Where if people, it's a lot of time. You have to drop out, but and you get to explore new areas. You learn your way through, and it does teach you, I guess, the principles of how to do a raid in terms of the pathway you've got to go and transcending or descending your way through it. And it is really nice. And again, the story mode is actually quite good. And what's nice about it is it's nice and self-contained. It has a satisfying conclusion as well. And the characters who talk to you on like your communications thing, who are back on the reef, they actually deliver dialogue with enthusiasm, unlike Peter Dinklage in the first thing, which again clearly can't have been his fault.
Can't blame the Dinklage.
Exactly.
He's all about the dollar.
He's a really
That's what
good
he wants.
actor as well, but I don't know what happened when it came to when Destiny launched, and he was just boring as fuck. I don't know what happened there, but
Probably
yeah.
bored as fuck reading the script. That's why.
Yeah, that's the thing. Where you pick someone dumps like a man, read this stuff, he goes, all right.
Then.
Doesn't mean he has to emote on it, does
Yeah.
it? What are you? You're a robot on the moon.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm well pumped for that.
Probably went through it and went, "What the fuck is a warlock?"
Yeah, exactly. But you like it, right? You're a fan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
There you go. Tom, what have you been playing?
Forza Horizon 2.
Oh, is that why you brought it? Is that why you
that
laid
why you
the
mentioned
tease
it
earlier?
earlier?
Like,
It's really good. Like, I don't know if that at the moment racing games, like you said, there aren't as many of them. There used to be tons. Like everyone had a racing game. It seemed like publisher.
yeah, I miss all that.
There's like Activision had one. EA had probably numerous ones.
Activision had-
Disney had one.
What was it? Blur. Blur was so
Yeah.
good. Like, so good.
The problem, like
I love
Activision
Blur.
had the best racing studio, and they just killed them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but that was annoying. Codemasters had lots of, like, at the moment,
I never really liked
Codemasters have gone
Codemasters
very
races.
simmy, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, really, apart from Need for Speed. Like I think Horizon is like, and I think it's better than Need for Speed at the moment anyway. Is like the game. Like if you're not really into hardcore racing, but you don't want it to be super ridiculous, it is kind of a bit like PGR in that you can get away with a lot more than what you would do in say Gran Turismo or something. And like Horizon 2 looks amazing. Like the location is brilliant. Like just the colours. I think the colour of it makes it to me more appealing than Drive Club. Drive Club I played for quite a lot, and it is, if you want an actual like pure racing game, I think it probably is better. If you're into that kind of like time trialing, competing with other people for like best times, I think it maybe is the better game for you there. If you want just to explore the world and drive around and just mess about with lots of different stuff, it is a more fun game for me. And it's just like, it's fun to play. Like the handling model is fun. You get good cards very quickly. Like you just play it. Like you start off with a relatively naff car, I suppose, but then in about an hour you get given a Ferrari, and then I got gifted like the main car from the front cover of the box just because I was playing the game. It's like, fine, I'm going to use those now, and suddenly you've got like two of the best cars, and that's it. It's just, and even like when it says, because you have events, and then when you complete that set, you basically have a drive to another location. Even that bit's fun because you're like seeing the scenery, unlocking a new bit of the map. It's just a nice game to play. I don't really like all the story stuff they kind of put in. Like it's not a story as such. Like
it's like get to the party, right? Get to the party and have fun.
I don't like that element to it. Like the whole festival side, particularly the opening bits, are just terrible. Like I don't get why they've got Sean Maguire in it. Like it's like his face, just him as a character being like the head of the festival stuff. It all seems a little bit cheesy and rubbish, but the actual racing is really good. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do because this is the second one. It's not a massive evolution of the first Horizon, but it's still good fun. I don't know whether they can just do it again in what would be next year's game. I kind of hope they somehow just make PGR, because they could do PGR. There's bits in it where you're racing around like sort of mini towns, and they're cool because it's like this is essentially a bit like PGR.
I don't think they're ever going to bring back PGR, but they could. What's Criterion doing?
They are bringing back PGR, Miller.
Well, you can keep living that dream, but I think you may have to go to like a Shenmue convention and chat to those guys.
If you buy Forza 6, is it 6 or 7 we're on? 6. You get beta access to PGR.
There's a lot of betas going around this year's E3.
Yeah.
I just can't see Microsoft investing money into PGR when they've got Forza branding.
I just think
don't see why
at
they
some
do
point, if they keep doing it, Forza Horizon is going to... It needs to do something to either have a bigger break or do something a bit different, because, I don't know, like...
I totally agree.
Yeah. So if they did it as a city thing, like it basically was PGR, just
it doesn't have to be called
like
PGR,
Forza New York,
I'd like
or something
it
like
to
that.
be
Birmingham.
more city racing. Yeah,
but I think
Spaghetti Junction.
the key is the Criterion guys, because they proved that when they made Blur, which was like real life Mario Kart or whatever, or realistic
Criterion.
Wasn't it bizarre?
Oh, Bizarre, sorry.
They're dead. They're dead.
Yeah, I know they're Bizarre, but there's still people out there. They still exist. They could they need those crew back together, because when they made Blur, they proved that they were a very talented racing studio.
Aren't a lot of them at Playground, though, who made
Some of them are
Forza?
at Playground, some of them went to Codemasters.
That's the thing. It doesn't count. You need that team. You need that core
to make
team
that,
back together.
that call, bring them all together.
Blur's kind of gone down in history as being a bad game.
Who thinks it's a bad game?
Everyone,
That's
apart
it.
from me and you,
See,
apparently.
I prefer Split Second.
This
to
was the
Blur.
problem. To me, they are two completely
Yeah. Oh,
separate
they are.
games. I
They
know
are.
you put yourself behind a wheel, but the problem was they came at the same time, so everyone decided, oh, well, it's this Call of Duty versus Battlefield. No, it's not. They were two complete... One was a set piece.
Was it Disney who made Split Second?
was a throwaway game for like, you played it for like
It
an
was
afternoon,
good, but
and it was fun.
That was it.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Whereas
But-
Blur was a deep, beautiful, wonderful,
But you're
juicy
right
racing game.
in that you couldn't have played
Fucking
both
brilliant.
because they came out at the exact same time. So you simply
Well, people
committed
decided
to
they
one.
shouldn't. People said you got to pick one. No, you don't. They weren't competing with each
if
other.
you committed to one, then you weren't going to play the other. Like you say, you bought one and you could only
Yeah.
afford one. But yeah, Split Second was that.
Thing is,
There
they
was
both
that
bombed,
track.
didn't they? They
Yeah,
both both did really
because
bad.
again, timing. But there was that track in Split Second where you drove under the plane as it crash landed, and that was a really good track.
It was great, but it's just the fact once you'd seen everything it had to offer once, it was,
I think
for me personally, it was
Blur's
difficult to get excited
marketing
about it again.
was bad. Like the way it was sold as like Mario Kart for like adults. Or
Yeah, that was
something.
Yeah.
bad.
It was
Because adults like Mario Kart.
It had things.
Yeah.
I think the problem they had was convincing people that a game with power ups, like it did have, wasn't just a kind of arcadey like
Yeah.
Mario Kart clone. And even the advert looked like it was like, I think they
It was
copied
bad.
Mario Kart to an
Yeah.
extent in the marketing,
'Cause-
and it just missold it a lot because it had a lot more to it than just.
Well, it was the driving model again.
Yeah.
It was the handling model was so good because you would shoot a lightning bolt or whatever at someone, but that wouldn't like take them off the road. It would just interrupt their path. And it's the way you could then dip in around them or whatever that felt so good. It's like, oh man, I really took that guy to school.
I was really fucking annoyed by the whole Blur thing because it was the only multiplayer racing game I've ever gotten half decent at.
Yeah.
And it fucking died on its arse.
I know.
It was so good. I remember just doing multiplayer matches one after the other one. I never did the single player on
No, because it was compelling.
It was just fucking like, and there was so many like amazing moments where if you pulled them off, it'd be like real punch the air moments,
Yeah.
like firing a bolt out the back of you, aiming it in the rear view mirror, and actually getting somebody with the bolt, and just like Blur was amazing.
Yeah.
Like Bizarre, multiplayer wise, were well ahead of everyone. Like PGR2 on the Xbox, which was kind of like one of the first games to make real use of Xbox Live properly, was way ahead of everything else. It had like all the kind of stuff you expect now, like all the leaderboards, the ghosts, all the lobbies and everything. And this was like God knows how many years ago that was now. I played that so much, PGR2 online. And it had a good community. Like back then, Xbox Live wasn't as toxic
Just
as
the
it is
internet
now.
in general, wasn't it?
It was a much nicer place to be. But they've and Blur had all that. Plus, it had the actual the competitive stuff in terms of the weapons and everything. So it was really good. I really like Blur, and I don't know why it died as much as it did. I think people just thought it was a different game.
Well, I think it just was marketed poorly, and like I say, came out at a weird time with another racing game where they decided to go head to head with one another. You had to choose. Whereas I think Split Second was fine as well. I think they probably could have made a series out of that, but yeah, both were so. Who made Split Second?
I was thinking, was it Disney? Was that Disney?
Disney published it, but who actually made it?
It
Who
was,
made it?
they're based in Brighton, aren't they? Well, they were. Is it? I want to say Rainbow, but I don't know if it was them.
No, I don't think it was. Anyway, it's a shame because I think they could have done. But the fact that Bizarre have gone entirely is, I mean, they were, that was the racing game that got me into racing games.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
they did,
they were the racing game guys, like say with PJ and all that. They were just fabulous at what they did.
They knew what they were doing. I finished Guacamole over the bank holiday weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to stress how I remember now, because I said a few weeks ago that I went back to my review and I thought, maybe it was a bit harsh on it. But then I remember the last hour of that game. Where it decides, right, we don't have much else we can do, so let's just up the difficulty by about 70 million and make it the hardest game ever.
It's gone back to Miller 8 now.
Yeah.
It wasn't
really
last week, wasn't it?
No, I think it's a fantastic game, and I implore anyone that's got PS Plus to download it and play it, because it's just so much fun, and it reminds you that, I mean, even though it does look nice, it's got great sound and a great idea, it's all about the core mechanics. If the core mechanics of the game is good, you want to keep going back and playing it over and over again. But I can't stand games that get to their finale and just think they have to become a challenge video game. It's like, why can't I just finish this game?
I hate it when games become hard at the end because you feel like you put the effort in,
Yeah.
and then I had this a bit with Wolfenstein because it had taken so long to play it anyway, it suddenly felt like it was incredibly hard. I actually turned it down to easy because I thought,
I do that all the time.
What is the point of me struggling through this? Well, I just want to play something else now, but I want to finish this.
Yeah.
The effort's not in the final hour; it's in those 9 or 10 hours you played on the way.
That's the thing as well. It's this whole old school mentality of a video game has to be hard. You have to defeat the game. Whereas I would have been happy just to have waltzed through Guacamole's last half an hour, kicked the shit out of everything, beat the boss, and go, that's the game's done. I had a good time. It filled up, some of my life.
Yeah.
Rather than, I beat the game. I don't have to beat the game. I just want to experience the game.
I feel like if the game is a challenge, it has to be a challenge the whole way through. That has to be its MO. It can't suddenly become that.
Yeah.
It can't pull the rug out from under you and
Because then
suddenly.
you know whether it's. I mean, I persevered through it for the same reason you did Wolfenstein. Because you think, well, I put this much time into it, and I want to get to the credit so I can say, right, that's done. But it's just when a game switches from becoming incredibly entertaining to a slog, just because they're starting to throw more enemies at you, it's like, nah. You don't need to do
Especially
this.
games where you get power-ups and your character gets stronger as you go and you feel like you should be good enough to overcome whatever they put in front of you.
Going back to Jim's point, that was a Oblivion problem because you leveled up and the world leveled up around you.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of leveling up? Everything's getting stronger with me, so I never feel more empowered.
But one of the big problems with Oblivion, really, as an RPG, was that you could go through that game never leveling up, and still finish every quest, defeat every enemy.
No, that's a mistake.
So leveling up felt sort of a bit pointless.
Yeah.
Once you saw the sort of code behind
That is true. It was fun because you get to choose new stats, which is always good. But in terms of how it made you feel, it was like, well.
I mean, I'm not totally against like level scaling in the world because I think in certain areas. It's a good way of sort of bringing easy areas up to the standard of where you are as a character. if you want to have a constant challenge or whatever. But the way they did it in Oblivion, where everything is at the level you are, so and everything's a breeze basically. So the only difficulty is depending on where you've got the difficulty slider.
I much prefer things to feel more natural, like I'm in the hard point now.
Everything should be in a ratio to the player.
Tell you what, The Witcher does that really well. Another thing The Witcher 3 does really well. Like, I don't know if it employs any kind of level scaling, but The Witcher 3 Well Done. You might have heard of it. It's this independent studios come out with a... But anyway, some of the exploration, and you can walk into areas where you're fucked.
It lets you know as well, doesn't it? It flashes up above the enemy.
There'll be a skull above the enemy, which basically tells you ain't going to beat this guy.
That's excellent.
Don't even try.
I love that stuff. Like, I just enjoy. I like it when a game gives you a heads up, a little nod, like this is what we think. Don't have to listen to us, but there you go.
Well, when we played it and we came across that graveyard with the spectre, I think everyone basically comes across it. There's that spectre just outside of the first town, and they come out of the graves, and it's basically like this is your first chance to realise you can get destroyed if you take something on too early. And it even does it with the quest. It will say, look, it will color code them and say, like, this is an easy quest. You're good enough to do this now. This quest, it will prove a bit of a challenge, but you might be able to do it. This one, red, stay away from it.
Sounds like they ripped off Ubisoft's The Crew.
That's a game we should have talked about, because The Crew, should have been excellent. I mean, really should. The idea was great. It had money put behind it. Big studio like Ubisoft comes out. Pitiful.
Still,
it's done by Test Drive guys as well.
Yeah, I kind of still have a slight fondness for The Crew, just because it is such a massive game, and like there isn't anything like it. Like, it is such a big world, and that part of it is something that is something worth doing. It's like I don't know. It is just big. I mean, if that's not much of a selling point, but exploring it and just seeing all the different locations and stuff,
and being real life,
and the fact that you can just go anywhere is quite cool.
Like, and you play as Gav Murphy as well. That's quite cool.
In case you didn't know.
There has been a running theme with this generation. I promise I haven't had the awareness to think about it with other generations of consoles, but every new IP that's come out, there's always been that sense of, that it's a good starting point, but the second one will be the time when everything falls into place. Like The Crew, Watch Dogs, probably a lot of Ubisoft games actually. But every new IP, you feel like, in the next one they'll have a chance to get all this right. It's a good starting point,
especially.
Jeez,
my knees. Do you remember that? I'm talking about downgrading.
There's definitely
Watch Dogs the king of that.
Oh my god! But there's definitely been a case of where you think, like Titanfall was another one. It was a great start, and you think, where can they go with the next one? But it's a case of. It's a building block rather than coming out with a bang. You feel like, it was all right, but if they do it again, then that's the time when you think this is the real start of the new gen difference. But it's a shame.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Lifeless Planet, quickly. Lifeless Planet on Xbox One. I don't know why I brought it up, because I only gave it a 5, but it's kind of a bit like The Crew in that it's not a great game, but it's got something about it that
more
I
is quality.
Kind of liked enough to say it's not garbage, but it's just not a great game. And like, I know Jim was saying that he was a bit surprised that I didn't like it as much as maybe thought that people would.
Well, you've actually played the full game.
Yeah,
I played the early access.
It's got
version.
that sense of like, the idea of it is really good. Like, you're just an astronaut, a planet. There's a massive area to explore. It is pretty linear though, really, in terms of what you actually do. Like, essentially, it's you just wander down a path for the whole game. Even at points, you get shown the exact path to walk. And it's got that sense of like, what's around the corner? What am I going to see that's cool? But it just, because it was made by, I think, mostly one guy, but with a few other people helping out, it looks so budget. Like, it's super budget in terms of the appearance. And I think that hurts it, because it is a game about like seeing stuff essentially, and what you see, even though at times it can look okay somehow, I don't know how, but it does. Most of the time it looks garbage. Like, there's some bits where like there's trees essentially, and it looks like, do you remember like Motocross Madness or something on like the PC from like the late 90s, like one of the Microsoft Studio games? It looks so old, and it hurts it, because the whole thing is like,
it's about wonder
and like exploring and seeing all these alien like things, and even the design of it. Like, there's bits where, say, I've got to get from one area to another, and there's no obvious thing, and this is meant to be a real place where there's some alien life that have lived there and constructed stuff. And it's like, to get to that bit, you've got to walk around the back of this building, and there's like a pathway like an inch wide that you think you can never get past. It makes no sense as like a world, and that kind of hurts it a bit, because it's just there to try and trick you into not knowing where you're going, even though that would never exist in real life, because no one would design anything to be like that. And these people have apparently made like machines to teleport all over the place and stuff. But I don't know. It's a game that I think you could play and think, yeah, it's got
Sunday afternoon game, right?
It's got something about it, but also is a bit rubbish.
There you go. Like, how much is it?
I think it's like £12-13.
That's too much.
Probably. I mean, it's not massively long, and it feels cheap. It obviously had a very small budget. I think it might have been like I'm not sure it was Kickstarter, but one of those type of things. And I don't want to be too mean about it, because it has something, but it's just not a great game.
There you go. Tomorrow reviews Lifeless Planet.
I really liked it. When I played the early access version, the reason I liked it and latched onto it is because it reminded me of it felt like really kind of classic hard sci-fi in video game form. So it felt like sort of pre-moon landing sci-fi. It felt like something that like a short story that Ray Bradbury might write, or something about an astronaut exploring a desolate, distant planet, and that was the sense that I got from it, which I really enjoyed. But I was kind of hoping that the actual full version of the game would be
it's not
better.
Dissimilar in a kind of like to Journey in that, but Journey does everything a lot better than this does. Like, Journey is essentially a walk through a world, but that world looks amazing, and the control you have over the character is really solid. In this, you've got like a dodgy jetpack that's a bit awkward to control, and it looks rubbish. So, but it's the same sense of getting through rather than actually overcoming much. Like, there's very little in terms of like threat, other than some little plant monster things that just grab you out of the ground. But it doesn't have that. Like, Journey is all about like the look and the sound and the sense of being there and stuff. And this just doesn't have that level of like quality that it needed. If it had all that, it could have been a really good game.
Oh, there you go. Lifeless Planet. Out now. Is it out now? Oh, thank goodness. Before we answer the questions you've asked, it's pimp time. We're going to pimp some stuff out. As always, we're on Twitter at VideoGamer.com, Facebook, search for VideoGamer. On YouTube, VideoGamerTV. And we've got Patreon as well, which is patreon.com/VideoGamer. And also, it's the last week you can enter the competition when you can win.
I thought last week was the last week.
Hey, I make the rules.
It's the last week until we come up with...
No, because it's the end of May, right? It's June next week, so we'll do a new competition. So go do something with Kojima, make us laugh. Go to the VideoGamer.com forums. You'll find a thread there to do with this very competition. Do some photoshopping, do a video. I don't know, make a song.
Don't just stick them in a car, though, because we've done that.
Yeah, we did that. But remember, you can win a voucher from shop2.net worth up to the value of £50. Why is that funny?
I don't know why it's funny.
Yeah, Jim laughing at shop2.net. Laughing at you.
I think Jim just came up with an idea.
I like shop2.net. Don't twist my last Miller.
Paul asks, hello, Video Gamer. Are we ever getting a Sleeping Dogs 2?
I hope
I reckon so, yeah.
Maybe announce it this year's E3.
Yeah.
Seems about right time. It's been a few years.
They've got a conference, haven't they?
Got games to announce.
Sleeping
People
Dogs
like that game.
That game was so good, especially when you got that character that you've hated for the whole game, and you end up feeding him through a fucking ice chipper.
That game had a good ending. Like, the way it built, that had a game, because it felt like you'd got somewhere, and then it didn't just go, here's more the same. It changed it a bit. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but it felt like...
I think you're allowed to. It's been
like
years.
The bit where he gets because he gets beaten up badly, doesn't he? And he's kind of like struggling, and he still carries on and stuff. It felt like a bit of a heroic kind of ending. And lots of games just kind of just give you more of the same, but harder. It was like, I thought it was a good game. I think it had problems, but it was a good 7 out of 10 that clearly deserves another game for sure.
Yeah.
The combat was really satisfying as well. It had that Arkham
It was just
style.
a very, very good, solid video game. It's like the equivalent of Square Enix do it very well. Tomb Raider was the same. It's a very, very good video game. Nothing special, not going to blow your mind, but just does what it wants to do very well.
Yeah, the chase stuff was really good as well. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Start again, not Chump. Jump, Shoot, Reload says, this is weird. If you're stuck in a zombie apocalypse, what actor, musician, and game character would you choose to join your team and why?
Actor, musician.
Is
Well,
that
I would
and
go
or-
all of them. So I would
Oh.
go actor Leslie Nielsen, musician James Hetfield, and game character Marcus Phoenix because I like them. That's
Oh,
it.
just to bring
That's
them
my
on.
only reason.
Marcus Phoenix would probably be a good one. It might be a bit slow though because he's got all that bulk.
No, you've not seen him roadie run. Fucking slam into a wall.
But you'd have to have a chainsaw revving the whole time in order to move fast.
Man's amazing. Go on, Brett. Pick 3. Go.
Oh god, actor Sly. I'll take Sly.
Right, musician.
What's the other musician? Oh, Slash.
Game character. Got to start with an S now. You start the theme here.
Oh really? Oh
Well, I've
fuck.
decided they don't have to do it.
Lara Croft. I would say because she's good at finding stuff.
Good one,
There we
mate.
go.
Jim.
Shut your face! You planned this. you had your questions. You had your answers already.
Just grab
Fuck
the
you.
questions.
I pick Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I was going to go with him. I was
three.
going to go with
For
him.
all three.
Well,
That's
technically
not fair,
true,
Jim.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tom,
I was going to have him.
Well, that's all right.
I'll
You can have
him.
your actor. What
But
are you
then who was the other one?
Musician.
Brian May. he's clever, isn't he? He's clever.
He'll bring his one penny piece with
he's
him
clever.
as well.
He knows how
He'd be able to tell you where the North Star is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he might help. And then what's the other one?
Game
Game
character.
Frank West.
Frank West taking some pictures, and he's
He's
dealt
had
with that before.
experience,
Yeah,
hasn't he?
Yeah, good choices. Crab of the Stars, which is my favourite Twitter name ever. Would you attack a bear for a beer with your bare hands? Didn't know I put that in there.
No.
Jack, have any of the team ever imported a game? Which is I kind of intrigued that because that's
Yeah.
kind of a dead thing now, isn't it?
Loads.
Back in the day was like, give me one game. that
Well,
was-
I
yeah.
imported
So I
my
never
entire
imported.
GameCube was an import.
Did you really?
My PS2 was an import.
Oh shit! I'm all over it.
My Xbox was an import.
Fucking
originally.
hell.
Wow.
I had an imported. Well, my PSP was an import.
Where did you order them from?
Like import stores.
From a store?
Import.com.
Like,
Import.com.
I don't know. Like Lixang was the thing. Remember Lixang?
I remember Lixing. Yeah.
I
Play Asia
used
was
to,
a big
like
one.
American stuff. Used to get from VG Plus maybe or
Yeah, I
something.
remember
It's like
them.
a Canadian
Oh, no,
store.
I got, I did import something once from VG.
I got my
Plus. Can't remember what it
PS2
was.
from someone in the Friday ad.
Damn.
Japanese PS2.
There you go. Tom's done all the importing.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, I mean, the only thing I ever did, you know, when you used to get Japanese SNES games, you used to have to get that adapter thing where you put a European SNES game in the back and the Japanese game on top. I did that for like Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But yeah, I never actually imported it. I bought it from a store which imported games. So,
Jim?
yeah.
You what, sorry?
Did you import anything?
No.
No. Okay.
Too busy laughing at Shop 2 again.
I've never imported anything.
Andy Strange, have you heard anything about the Mad Max game? The trailer looks good, and with the success of the film, I think there'd be more interest now.
I think the film's going to hurt it. That's my view.
Well, I didn't play. I saw it at last year's E3, and it really did. And there's nothing wrong with this, but it really did look like Just Cause, but in a desert.
looks
I think the
good.
problem is how do you keep that interest in the desert when it literally was just miles and miles of desert? It's like, well, what do you do?
I think it looks like a good game. Like it looks a lot like Batman to me in terms of
Yeah,
the
it very
gameplay.
much is.
But I think the film has been so well. I haven't seen it, but people love it so much.
It's reviewed well as well.
Is that not going to? People are going to be thinking the game is going to be as good as this amazing action
I
film.
don't know. I think there's enough of a gap that it'll be.
It's not. It's next year now, isn't it? The Mad
Yeah,
Max
I don't
game?
it's
think the
not.
film will hurt it.
I thought they pushed it back
it's
to
like
next year.
September or something. Isn't it the same day as Metal Gear?
I thought they delayed it.
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Thing is, though, we talked. I don't remember when, but we talked about Rage a little while ago, and we said how
very much
boring,
like Rage.
how boring the driving was, and considering, like you said, it's just a massive empty desert. And
This
if they
has to
fill
get the
it,
driving right because that is a
Exactly.
big part of.
Well, it's got to
Exactly.
it's got to do that hard thing that sometimes games struggle with. It has to have a good driving model.
Yeah.
Plus it has to have a good combat model.
but
And
it
the
can't have a
car-
lot of emptiness.
What's
That's the
his name
thing.
of the car? The Interceptor.
I don't
is
know,
that
I've never
right?
seen Mad
Is that
Max.
the name?
Don't know.
I
But
think
it's
if they
a
nail
big
the car
focus on
combat
that.
as well, like if they nail the whole, the actual fighting other cars with your car.
Yeah.
They look like they've got like a really good sort of leveling up stuff, really good upgrade mechanics with the cars themselves, and I think they could pull it off.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. You can have a desert, but it doesn't have to be deserted. So
I don't think Warner Brothers are going to release much shit anymore. After Shadow of the Mordor came
Shadow
out
of the
and it was
Mordor.
quite
Shadow
high
of the
quality,
Mordor.
I think their new thing is set the bar high, which is
Yeah.
another reason
Yeah.
why they got rid of old gen stuff and just focused
Yeah.
on new gen stuff because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of consolidates their thoughts. I think Batman's going to be really good. I
Yeah.
think Shadow of Mordor was good. I think Mad Max. I don't know if it'd be for me, but I think it'd be very well received.
It has to
think in
stay
the past-
September as well because
I
of
think-
Blu-ray.
yeah.
That's the thing. Sorry, Jim.
That's right. No, I'm just thinking. I think WB have maybe not taken gaming very seriously until now. Really.
The last couple of years, I'd say. Even
Yeah.
Lego Jurassic Park, I'm not going to play it, but it's good, it's solid, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mortal Kombat was great too. I
Yeah.
think Warner Brothers' thing is we'll go for quality, we'll go that route, and eventually people will
Where's
start.
fear? That's
It
what I want to
works.
know. Where's fear?
Well, they're dead, that team now, aren't they?
Are they?
Well, pretty much. They're
they're
kind of
still-
ripped.
What you mean, like
Monolith.
disbanded and gone to other places?
They
Not-
made-
Warner Bros. Ripped them apart.
not dead.
I
Because
still
that's
think,
tragic.
I still think
They're dead.
there's something in another fair game. Like the first two, I think are really good games. Like the next one's not so much, but I still think it offered like an FPS with a slight different twist to everything else.
I think they may be gone.
My only memory of Fear is some guy with a hat telling me off at the start of the game. Stop playing.
I still think the original Fear has some of the best combat in any FPS. Even
Yeah.
now,
A lot of people say that.
it's really good.
The Hairy Kraken. I've now got the sinking. Have you got the sinking sensation that the new Metal Gear may in fact be total shite?
Yeah.
No.
Why? No, I don't have that at all. Why
Not
does
at all.
everyone think
That's
that?
been controversial.
Oh, I see.
Oh, right.
No, I think there's probably an argument there, but I don't see what's happened. I mean, the Kojima stuff doesn't affect the development of the game because it's already pretty much a finished game by this point. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Metal Gear's always really good. I mean, maybe a bit unfocused at times, and
Yeah.
all over the place, but the games as a whole are always interesting and different. I'm really excited.
The
for
only
it.
thing that sort of had me on edge is how it has the episodic thing like Peace Walker. I never really got on with the PSP games
Yeah.
where you know, where you kidnap soldiers and recruit them and all that. Like in those games, I don't know if it has all of that, but there is talk of it being episodic. You go back to your base, and I don't know
Yeah.
if that breaks up the whole reason why I love the first 1, 2, 3 is you're embedded in an environment. You've
Current
got to
story.
survive and infiltrate, and that's what I love. I don't know if that will be too broken up where you got to go back and forth,
Yeah.
and that you'll feel not too safe, but too disjointed from the actual core of it. But again, it's Kojima, and I trust he can make a good Metal Gear game because he has and he does all the time.
Yeah, I think
So
if this is his last one as well, he doesn't want to go out on a bum.
yeah.
No.
he might do that. He might just say "fuck you."
Well,
He'll just end it with a
maybe.
picture of his cock at the end of the game.
Looking forward to it.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've just kind of accepted the fact now that I'm never going to get into Metal Gear. I did make a
I think
valiant
fair
it's fair
attempt.
enough. I think it's fair enough because they're weird games.
Yeah, they are different.
Yeah.
I don't.
I really tried. I tried
Which
playing
ones?
MGS1, and it's just too old for me.
One is hard. I mean, I think one's easier to go back to than any others. Like before 4, like the only ones I've really liked are 1 and 4. Like because 1 at the time
Everyone likes 3 though.
I can't get on the controls with 2 or 3. It's the main issue I have with them.
Yeah.
I know.
It takes 3 buttons to shoot a gun.
And particularly the second game is so I can't play it at all. It's just so awkward. Whereas the first game, because it was limited by what it was on, is a lot easier to play.
Yeah.
And the fourth game essentially plays like a modern shooter. in a
I
way.
said in last week or whatever podcast I really like Metal Gear 4, and so many people came out and said they don't like it, which I cannot believe. I think Metal Gear 4 I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. I put it in like my top 10 games ever list.
Really?
Oh, I think it's an excellent
what
game.
did make me laugh? You know that thing immediately when you get the active camo and he hasn't got you haven't got face cam at the start of the game, and he's just
Yeah.
there behind the wall, and you think, can no one see his face?
Oh, he's great.
No one. You got the percentage camo, and it goes up to like 85 because you think there's a big 15% of his face against the wall that everyone can't see for some reason.
That's crazy. Dan, I can't really answer this, but hopefully someone else can. Have any of you guys got the PlayStation TV? Was considering getting it. Now they're just £45 to play the PS4 in another room. Never really caught on that, did it? PlayStation
No.
TV. Anyone got one? Tried it out? Bought one? Done it?
I can see maybe why it might be useful, but I don't know. The problem with the whole thing is that it's like a little media box that doesn't have Netflix on it. So what's the point?
Does not have Netflix on
Apparently
it?
not.
Total shite.
Is that the one with the
There you go, don't do it.
Vita slot as well?
It's
You
a
can play
Vita. It
games
is
on
a Vita.
Oh,
but-
right, okay.
But it's
It's
just
a Vita
without
that
a
can't
screen.
have. It
It's
can't even
essentially
run
a
half the library.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like I think the only real thing it has going for it is that it has the remote play stuff like
Right.
you would on a Vita. So you plug it into a TV, so you could have your PS4 in the living room, this in your bedroom, and only have so you can access it in a different room without moving your console around. But it has the problems of lag and lower picture quality. So yeah.
So,
brilliant.
You know what, mate,
potentially
for the
not
sake
Dan.
of 45 quid, I would just move your PS4 to the toilet or wherever you want to play it.
To the toilet. That's better than buying a PlayStation TV. David Turner says, with E3 fast approaching, what series would you like to be brought back from the dead with a new sequel?
What do you think?
Project Gotham Racing. Done. Jim.
Everyone thinks that,
I
really.
can't think of anything dead that I like.
PGR, Jim, you would like racing games.
RC Pro-Am's mine.
Blur.
RC Pro
Yeah,
Have you
Brett-
played?
Wow.
Have you played Motorstorm on the
No, I
Vita?
still haven't played
That's
it
that
either.
game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I want RC
Or
Pro-
Toy
Rare's,
Box
Rare's
Turbos.
free now. I want RC Pro-Am. Fuck that.
Toy Box Turbos.
That was no RC Pro-Am, my
No.
friend.
Oh,
They
right.
wanted it to be. It was not. But yeah, RC Pro-Am. The game, everyone thinks I'm joking. RC Pro-Am, one of the greatest games ever made.
Is that just Micro Machines, yeah?
No, it was toy. It was remote control cars, but it was isometric viewpoint.
Miller,
So
Yeah, that is what
Motorstorm on
Micro
the
Machines
Vita.
was.
It's like
it was not
£2.
like Micro Machines. Sorry, I got annoyed with Brett Phipps.
Shut your face, Miller.
Motorstorm on the Vita. What's it called?
Motorstorm RC, wasn't it?
That is brilliant.
It is
It's like
really good.
£2
It's
or
really
£3.
good.
I haven't
It was
played
on
it.
Plus as well.
But I'm a Vita.
Oh, you might have added it to your
I
library.
want someone to do Elder Scrolls Discworld.
Just making something up.
Just like, something like, The Witcher or Oblivion or whatever, that kind of open world RPG, except it's set on Discworld and it's really funny and absurd.
Yeah.
And that's what I want.
Oh,
and nobody will
great.
ever make it. So I'll be
DJ Hero,
depressed
but it will
forever.
never happen.
No, it won't. Andy, do any of you care about trophies/achievements? If so, any platinum you're especially proud of? I put this in here because I just wanted to bring up the point about how Microsoft ruined their best thing.
They really
about
did.
the Xbox 360. I cared about achievements on the Xbox 360. I didn't actively go after them, but there was a really nice achieving, sense when you unlock them. Now,
when it
just
came
don't
up,
care.
Yeah.
When it came up, there was a nice little pang. There was
Yeah.
a nice little endorphin pang.
But you knew what it was as well. You knew what you'd achieve because it had the description.
Yeah, it does
all
that now. It does that now. But thing that convinced me that achievements are dead, essentially, is that I was watching The Good Wife on Netflix.
Oh, I know where you're going.
The Good
with it.
Wife's
Yeah.
good. It's a good program.
Yeah.
No, because I know what's
And
coming.
I'd watched 3 in a row, and I got an achievement.
That's,
I
see,
was
that's
like,
talk
Ridiculous.
about that is the whole Hotline Miami 2 thing. Talking about you could put everything and do everything
Yeah.
with it now. The whole point was there were nice additions that you could forget about, and it would pop up and it's pretty good.
See, I made the transition to caring about trophies for about 5 minutes as well this gem. I just don't care. I just want to play a game for a bit before I go to bed, and then that's it.
Don't
I
go
don't
to
want
bed.
to have an achievement for that.
I've never understood trophies. I don't understand why, but that system to me is probably not that complicated, but I've decided that it is. So even when I unlocked the trophy for completing Guacamelee, I just didn't give a shit. I was like, meh, don't care.
But surely it's just a translation from the achievement system.
trophy
but I just
system,
don't
in a
like
way,
it.
is probably better than achievement.
It is now,
because
yeah.
it tiers the how
In
hard
terms
the
of-
thing is. It'll give you a
But
gold.
it wasn't.
I think they launched it badly because
Yeah.
it felt like a not as good version of achievements. to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I didn't care for so long. I just don't care at all now.
100%.
Problem is, there's some games where you compare the two. Like for an achievement, you get say 50G for doing something in whatever game, like Guacamelee, like you're saying, and then the equivalent of that is like a bronze. You think, well, why?
Numbers always work better. Jim, do you ever achievement hunt?
Nah.
All right.
No.
Sned. Oh, sorry, go on. You have more.
No, it's fine. I'm just making noises with my mouth.
Snedpop says, does Castlevania have the wankiest subtitles in video games, e.g. Lords of Shadow and Dawn of Sorrow? He's right. It does. They are all really, really over the top and weird.
Metal Gear has some.
Is there one called Symphony of Dissonance or something like that?
Symphony of the Night, is there? I didn't.
I thought there was another one.
Do you remember
Something
the
of
Final
Dissonance.
Fantasy has bad ones like that. Duodecum, whatever the
Yeah,
fuck it's
that's
called,
bollocks,
Dissidence, whatever it is.
Do you remember the expansion for the original Quake game?
No.
Well, one of them was called The Dissolution of Eternity. That's the only thing I remember about it, because I remember thinking, that's fucking wank.
Yeah, that is bad. But no, Castlevania's up there.
Yeah,
It
so
has
yeah,
to be.
yeah.
They
Morrowind
don't mean
instead.
anything.
Yeah.
And finally, Martin says, if Tam McLeish was in WWE game, what would his finishing move be? Ask Jim.
His finishing move would be sticking a pair of cuffs on someone and bundling them in the back of a car.
There you go. Like a real policeman.
Come on, down the station, son. You're
Yeah.
fucking nicked.
That's what it'd be called. It would be called Man. That'd be the finish. Come on.
The here man.
Yeah.
Right. Fucking settle down.
And that's it. That's the end of the questions, which
Yeah.
means it's the end of the podcast. We've gone a whole just over an hour. Look at that. What powerful people we are.
1 hour.
Yeah, what amazing community people we are. Everyone should be really proud of us.
Yeah.
Don't know what I'm talking about. If you've enjoyed this, you'd like some more, you can sign up for our Patreon, as we mentioned earlier. You go to VideoGamer. No, you don't. You go to patreon.com/VideoGamer. You can spend $5 and you're going to get extra podcasts that we're literally going to record as soon as we finish
Yeah,
doing
if you
this
spend
one.
$10, you get extra videos.
Extra videos, and there's a whole well on there. You can have a look. If you fancy supporting us, that'd be great. If not, don't worry about it. You can still find all our stuff on videogamer.com and YouTube and all
Yeah.
that nonsense. But that is it. Remember to enter the competition. Remember to be happy, and remember that life is short. One day you'll be dead, so enjoy today. There you go. That's nice and positive. Thank you very much, Brett Phipps.
Bye.
Cheers, Jim.
Bye.
Cheers, Tom.
Bye.
We'll be back next week.